I am so excited because this video is going to be really easy for me. I'm basically just going to be talking about products that I like, but kind of along with that, I thought it would be a good idea to just kind of show them in action instead of just sitting here with the full face already on and then explaining why I like the products. I wanted to give a demo too and show why I like using them, show like the instant results you get from using these products. So I have a lot of MAC in front of me right now going on, and I really am excited to just put almost a full face of MAC makeup on. So I'll kind of explain why I'm not using all MAC, but it's like 90% MAC makeup. So without further ado, let's get started so I can talk about and show you guys why I love these products from MAC Cosmetics. Alright guys, so first things first is going to be the skin prep. So I actually don't have a MAC specific primer. I prefer to use my own moisturizer, like my set skincare routine that I have, instead of just using the strobe cream as a moisturizer. I kind of use it as like an add-on. So I get the shade Gold Light. I've talked about this like one other time on my channel before. It's just honestly such a great MAC product. I love this one. So I am just going to use it to prep my skin. I feel like I'm not going to use like a primer today because I already primed my skin basically by doing skincare. I mean, I don't know. I feel like primer is necessary in like really specific situations. Like primer is good for if you like really want to fill your pores, so you get a pore filling primer, or you really need hydration, so you get an ultra hydrating primer. Just those kinds of things. So I have already basically primed my skin by doing skincare. This is just going to be a little step on that, and hopefully you can see like already I'm so shiny. That's why I love this product. Okay, so I zoomed in a little bit so we can see like the glow on the skin just by using a little bit of the MAC Strobe Cream. I feel like my nose is so shiny, but I mean, just moving my face in the light, you can kind of tell it's a little bit shiny everywhere. So that's what I really like about that. Next, let's move into the foundation. So this is actually one of my favorite uses for Studio Fix. I don't wear it too often by itself. I think Studio Fix is a great mixer foundation. So this is the shade NC15. For now, I am a little bit tanner than 15. I feel like on the screen, I don't look it, but I really am. I promise I am. Look at my arm. My arm is so much tanner. Okay, anyways, I think this is a really great mixer foundation. I kind of stayed away from it for a little bit because I'm dry and I've always known it to be an oil control foundation. So I was like, I don't want to try that because it's going to dry me out. But it really doesn't. I've worn it on its own before and it doesn't feel dry at all. It's just a matte finish for me. I do like to mix it though. So what I've liked to do lately is actually mix it with my Maybelline Fit Me foundation, and this shade is way too dark for me. It's a 220. I'm more in the 100 range, but combo with the NC15, you can mix it and find your perfect match. I really, really love this combo. And also, if you think about it, like this foundation is $30. Fit Me is like a $7 foundation. I'll definitely put it in the description box below as usual. But if you think about it, getting these two just to make your perfect match when you find like undertones you really like in both of the shades, then I just feel like you get, you know, a $38 foundation. That's to me like a very fair price point, especially since you're combining the two sometimes. So it's like 2 ounces, $38, I don't know. I just think that's a really great little trick you can use Studio Fix for. It's a great mixer. I like to put it on this little Ulta mixing, what is this called? A palette. So I have the two shades mixed right here, and I'm just gonna mix them together. I use a little Morphe brush. I use this one a lot for concealer too, but I think it's perfect for mixing foundation. So I'm just gonna mix those two. Usually I can eyeball it and get like a good shade for me, but we'll see. I think that looks pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna use this little concoction that I made over the whole face. What I do when I mix is I kind of just like paint the formula on my face, bring a little bit down to the neck. Does it look too warm on me? I feel like it's gonna be fine. I forgot to mention also I'm using the Dewy and Smooth Fit Me formula, not the matte one. And I feel like that's also just a great add-on to the Studio Fix because you get a little bit more coverage when you use the Studio Fix than if you would just use just the regular Fit Me. Ooh, see how pretty that is? A little before and after. I think it's really, really pretty. But you get a little bit more coverage, but you also get that like glow from the Dewy Fit Me formula. And then I'm using this Real Technique sponge, which I haven't used in a while. I stopped using it for some reason. I thought I didn't like it anymore, but I'm using it now and I really like it. Oh, perfect. Got the foundation lips going on. Love it. Make sure we're blending in all the edges. This is one of my favorite concealers of all time, not just MAC. This is like one of my go-to concealers. The Pro Longwear Concealer, this is just, it's great. It just looks really hydrating under your eyes too. It's amazing coverage, comparable definitely to Shape Tape. I mean, even though it was first. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of the concealer and put it on my dish where I use the foundation. Just put it right next to it. And you need like, I mean, this was just half a pump, so we'll see how far that takes me. And I'm gonna use the same Morphe brush I used for my foundation. This is gonna be embarrassing because look how messy my brush got doing that. Why? So I'm just gonna lightly place that under the eyes. And I use the shade NC25. I try to use this shade pretty much year round in the concealer specifically because I love a warmer concealers. I feel like it just, like the yellow in it and the warmth just kind of balances the dark circles under my eyes so that I don't have to go super bright. I feel like if you go too bright in concealer, you're not color correcting, so it's just kind of like making your circles, especially if they're really deep and purple or like kind of bluish, then it just makes them look like gray. So if you use a warmer concealer, then you kind of like get rid of that. And then I just place concealer like straight down the middle. Gonna bring the concealer up over my eyelids too. Okay, I had to get rid of those concealer lips. They were driving me crazy every time I looked in the viewfinder. Next thing I'm gonna do is set my face. For me, I'm just gonna use one of my drugstore powders. I'm gonna use the Maybelline Fit Me powder. I'm just gonna use the medium golden mineralized skin finish. So this I think is a great setting powder for all over the face. This is gonna add a little bit of warmth back into my skin too, and use this to like sweep away the powder I used to set my under eyes so it doesn't get like too bright. It just kind of evens it out again. Brings that warmth back in. It's gonna set the whole face with this powder. In person, this powder looks so good. Even on plain skin too, this powder is so beautiful. I love it. It doesn't offer a lot of coverage at all. It's just to kind of, for me, either balance your skin tone or set your makeup. Not really to cover blemishes, anything like that, but as a topper, I mean, it just never starts looking like cakey or powdery. Next thing I'm gonna do is go into eyebrows. I just put up an eyebrow tutorial, so I'm gonna link that for sure, and just kind of quickly go through the eyebrows since I did a whole focused video on that. I pretty much do the same steps, but this time I'm just gonna use like my MAC Pro Longwear Waterproof Brow Set. Love this product just for setting those brows. They don't move, like really, they are stiff once you set them with this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do my brows a little bit like faster and not do like a whole talk through thing because I will link that video. Okay, so brows are done. All I really did is do like the normal brow routine that's in my other video, and I used the Pro Longwear to set the hairs and everything like that, and then concealed them with Pro Longwear concealer. Let's talk about some of my favorite palettes. This one is the In the Flesh palette, and obviously it's just super like really neutral. If you like to do smoky eyes only, this is probably going to be a really great palette for you. I like this palette a lot. I'll probably reach for this one in the look today. Next thing I have is the MAC Warm Neutral palette. So this is this one. If you like more warm tones, this is probably going to be your go-to. I know there's a million palettes that look like this, like just for comparison's sake. Here is the Soft Glam palette that came out this year, and then here is up next to it the Warm Neutral palette. So there's a lot of palettes that look really similar, so I'm just gonna talk about why I like the MAC ones. Basically, it's the same sort of deal you get with the In the Flesh. You just get 15 shadows that cost, you know, $16 to $20 in a $65 palette. So I like this one a lot. I don't know if I'll reach for this one in today's look specifically because I'm not really feeling something Super Warm. I love these palettes. I think they're great if you are an artist and you just need something in your kit that can work on a lot of different people, a lot of different skin tones. I feel like you get that in this one and in the Flush palette. Next little MAC palette that I love, I think is a great partner palette. It's the Burgundy x9. This one I've used on so many clients. I haven't even talked about this before, but I used to work for MAC and do makeup, and this one just always, like, I would end up reaching for it. And last but not least is a palette that was limited edition, but I still want to talk about it because it's cute. It's the Patrick palette. I love this one. This is the palette Stay With Me. I think this was the Miso Fleek kit. So I really like these. I might use those. I don't know, because I just really want to do like a pink look today. So I can't tell if my camera turned off when I was blending, or I am just running those two colors back and forth in the crease, and then just like softly bringing it up to the brow bone. I love MAC mattes. I think they blend pretty effortlessly, and they build really nice too. Like, they never look like you have like layers and layers of shadow on, even if you do, to get the build and the pigment that you want. I really love that about them. I'm gonna bounce around a lot. So next I'm gonna go into the Patrick palette and get this purple shade right here. That one on the same Profusion brush, and put that in the crease as well. Oh, that's pretty. It just seems like this is adding a little bit of depth. I'm gonna soften that with a clean e.l.f. blending brush. Just those edges so that nothing is too harsh. Next I'm gonna go into the Burgundy palette, and I think I'm gonna go, all these colors look really similar that I've been using. I'm gonna go into that with my Anastasia brush, the fluffy end. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Just keep adding on to that depth. Keep this a little bit more concise in the crease. So next I'm going to take my Morphe M506 and go into the Patrick palette again, take that second matte Bon Nuit right here. I'm going to start that, I think, on the inner corner and fluff it into the crease. Take that Profusion brush and just kind of soften those two shadows together. And take that same color, do the same thing but from the outer corner. Did anybody get this Patrick collection? I thought this one was such a great collection. It sold out at my store so fast. I was like one of the few people who got it. Literally, the store I got it from got 10 of them in shipments. So I feel like if you got this one, you were lucky or you were waiting on it. Fluff all that together so we get a nice gradient. Next thing I want to do, I'm actually going to cheat a little bit and go into a MAC blush just because I really want to use this color. Honestly, I got this at training, so they don't sell it anymore. I got it at a MAC training, so sorry for cheating. I'm just going to like put that right above that deeper purple. I'm just like really, really lightly fluffing that. It's like barely touching the lid when I put this on because it's a really, really pigmented blush, so I'm not trying to get it everywhere. So it's like the brush is barely grazing the skin. Next thing I'm going to do is go back into the In the Flesh palette, and this time I'm going to focus a little bit more on these three colors right here. I'm going to start with Black Factor, this matte right here, and I'm going to take my flat end of my Anastasia brush and go into that shade, and this time I'm going to put that on the outer corner of my eye and just kind of focus that on the outer V and fluffy end and just brush those together. Next I'm going to go into the shade right next to it, this guy right here, Cast Iron, another matte. I've used all mattes so far. I'm going to put that right next to it, kind of on the center of the lid, but I'm brushing it back into the outer corner as well. Guess what? Brushing those together like I've done the past 10 steps. Had like a tiny amount of fallout, but it's really nothing crazy. Next I'm gonna go back into the Patrick palette and take this matte purple again, like pat it over that outer corner just to add a little bit more purple back into the look. Next I'm going to do like a little half cut crease, so I'm just going to go ahead and carve that out. So I'm back with the cut creases carved out. I'm just gonna press that concealer in a little bit with my finger. Try not to smudge it though. I'm gonna go back into the In the Flesh palette and, oh, yeah, I'm not gonna read through the list and see what color that is. Okay, I'll do it. I feel bad not doing it. I think this shade is called Rustique, and go into that color, this like peachy color. And I'm just gonna lay that across the lid. All right, so I'm gonna flip that brush over again and then go back into the In the Flesh palette and take this guy right here. I think I used him already. What was he called? Oh, Cast Iron. So I'm gonna take Cast Iron, this cool toned kind of gray right here on that same flat brush, and just blend that back and forth on the center of the lid so we don't have any super harsh lines. Okay, and next I'm gonna go back into the Burgundy palette, and I'm gonna take this glittery shade right here. And this is super sparkly, so I'm gonna take one of my other favorite products, the MAC Fix Plus, go into that gold shade and spray it with a Fix Plus. And I'm putting that on the inner corner. Oh my gosh. I like it. I like it. And I'm going to kind of like pat it on the lid. This look got so dramatic so fast. I didn't mean for it to, but it happened, so we're here. I love how foiled these shadows get with a little bit of Fix Plus. I love that the lusters do that. Wipe away a little bit of that fallout. Had a little bit more, so that's something I feel like you need to know about the luster shadows, is you get a teeny bit more fallout. All right guys, so I literally took a break mid-tutorial because my camera died, so it needed to charge, and I just had a snack, so we're back. I don't remember the last step I did, but it's fine because we're done with the top eyeshadow. I'm just gonna move into the lower lash line. I'm gonna take this little Smashbox brush called the Double Exposure brush. I'm gonna go back into the Burgundy ×9 palette and take this matte shade over here and just start working that on the lower lash line. Just so you guys know, editing the part of the video where I do lower lash line is like the most painful because you can't make a cute face and do lower lash line eyeshadow. Go back into the In the Flesh palette, grab this peachy shade we were using a bunch of times. So I'm gonna grab that with the same brush and fluff that under the lash line as well. And finally, gonna go back into the blush I was using before, the Hot Pink, on that same brush, and just kind of like dot it on the outer corner of the lower lash line, just to have a little bit of cohesiveness in this look. I usually don't blow out my eyeshadow this much. I think I wanted to use so many shades and I just didn't even know where the look was going, so it just kind of ended up getting really blown out. And then I think I'm just gonna take a little bit and dab it in the center of my lid as well, just to kind of melt the peach into the smokiness. Next thing we're gonna do is go into the mascara. So this is the Extra Dimension mascara. I think it's like Extra Dimension 3D Lash something. This is, I think, the best-selling MAC mascara. It's a really popular one. A really big applicator with like teeny tiny bristles, so I think it does great for volumizing and then also just really getting in between those lashes and separating them. So I'm gonna use this. Look at that, just lifts the eyes so much. I love this mascara. They also have it in waterproof and in brown. All right, so I already put on some lashes. By the way, these are lashes from Kiss, the style Pixie. So for bronzer, I'm actually gonna be using a palette. I'm gonna use the MAC Jeremy Scott Cheeky Volume 1 Mixtape palette. Super cute, but just because it has a really pretty matte shade in there for bronzing. And I'm gonna end up using more than the MAC bronzer, but this is like the only MAC bronzer I have, so I'm just gonna use that. They do have a matte bronzer. I just saw it in Ulta, so I know you can get that, because for a while I was just having to show people like only Give Me Sun and only like mineralized skin finish. So nice that they have that now in Ulta's. Next we'll move into blush. So I'm gonna use 2 blushes. First I'm gonna start with Melba, just a classic MAC blush. I feel like if you ask anybody what their favorite or what like a good go-to MAC blush would be, they are more than likely gonna say Melba. It's a classic. I'm gonna put that on the cheeks. I think this is gonna complement just because of how peachy this is. The peachiness that I put on my cut crease. I think that is gonna work really well together. Just kind of piling that blush on. The apples. So this is something that I think is kind of trendy lately, and I'm gonna do it in today's look. I feel like it calls for it. And that is bringing that like super hot pink up over here on the cheekbone in the highlight area, like in the top of the cheekbone area. So I'm gonna do that to connect the eyeshadow into the rest of the face so it all looks really cohesive. So for that, since I don't want it to be too intense, I'm gonna use my Morphe M510. Usually I use this guy for highlight, but I'm gonna go into this hot pink blush again and just start dabbing that like on the cheekbone area. I actually really like that. I feel like it just gives you a really pretty glow. Like it's really different. So I like that a lot. And I'm just kind of putting that on the outer edge of the eyeshadow and then like fluffing it back into the cheekbone so it all kind of connects and melts together. And now we're super pink in the face, but I'm gonna tone it down a little bit like I usually do. And this time I'm just gonna use a clean Morphe fluffy brush just to run that over all of those shades to kind of further blend them together. Next thing I'm gonna do is add a highlight, Show Gold Extra Dimension. This is a really pretty shade because it's like a duochrome shade. It has like pink and gold reflex in it. And dab that over the pink. It's so pretty. Wow, it's making the pink and the highlight, like all those pink reflex over that hot pink blush just stand out so much. Ooh, oh wow, we are pink today. Okay. Next thing I'm gonna do is go into the lips. So I'm gonna use, I have my pride and joy. So I'm just gonna do some swatches so that you can see these MAC lipsticks and why I like them. Velvet Teddy, everybody knows this shade. It's just like a classic MAC shade. So I'm just gonna swipe that. Really, really pretty. Kind of has like a brown, I don't know, peachy. It's a pretty nude. Next I'm gonna go into Ruby Woo, another super classic MAC lipstick. A really pretty blue red. Next to that, I'm gonna do Chili. So this shade I really, really love. It's like an orange red. And this shade is like my favorite ever to mix with spice, which I'll show you guys that in a minute. Next we have Modesty. So it just kind of has a shine to it, but it's still pretty full coverage. Yash. I don't really wear it on its own. On me, it kind of washes me out a little bit unless I use spice or like a deeper lip liner to go with it. And finally, we have Myth. I just got Myth, honestly, to use as a mixer to brighten my lipsticks, and sometimes if I do like an ombre lip, this is perfect for the center, so that's why I really like Myth. And then my favorite MAC lip liner is Spice. I love this lip pencil. So there's Spice. Goes really perfectly with a lot of these colors. Spice over top of Chili. It just like tones it down a little bit, and I really, really love how that looks. So that's Chili without spice, and there's Chili with spice. So today I'm gonna use Modesty, and that is this guy right here. Oh, I always do that. This guy right here. And I'm just gonna put this all over the lip. And then next I'm gonna take Spice and just line my lips. And I think just for the sake of using more MAC products, I'm gonna go into Myth. I think that creates a really, really pretty ombre effect, and also just kind of like makes your lips look a little bit plumper too. Last thing I'm gonna do is add a clear lip gloss. So that is literally, it's just clear. Last thing we're gonna do, add some Fix Plus, and we will be good to go with the look. So I have 2 different Fix Pluses. I have the normal one, the original Fix Plus, and I have the Gold Light Fix Plus, this new one, which I really, really like. I love the way that looks. So you can really tell in the sunlight, this just gives you like the glowiest appearance to your skin. Whew. It's a lot. Now my face is really wet. But yeah, you guys, this is the final look. So that was actually really, really fun because I got to experiment with a bunch of different MAC products and just talk about something I like to talk about, which is why I like makeup and why I like MAC specifically. So you guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it and watched me talk about my favorite MAC products. If you didn't really know like what to get from MAC, I hope that my video had some clarity in it as far as what you maybe should pick up if you saw anything that you liked. I will have it all linked down below. Be sure to check out my next video, subscribe to my channel, do all of that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on my next one. Bye.